Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Again, welcome to the Career Coaching 2020 Fall Webinar Series presented by MDK Brand Management and 5-Star BDM. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, the CEO and founder of 5-Star BDM, which is a brand development master's company in which we do professional consulting. We're also an advisory group keenly focused on business development services with small to mid-sized businesses and entrepreneurs. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence and data analytics, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. The result, more business, more opportunities, better reach, and positive outcomes. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Just a little bit of housekeeping. You will be able to address our panelists and our host through the Q&A function down at the very, very bottom of your screen. You can just click on the Q&A, and then you will be able to type your questions in that area. Also, I'd like to introduce Denise Kaigler at this particular point. She is our host. Denise Kaigler began her impressive career as a television news reporter in Columbus, Georgia. She launched her corporate run at Reebok, where she held progressive roles during her 17-year career. Those roles included director, vice president, and senior vice president. Denise broke through the first of several glass ceilings when she was named Reebok's Senior Vice President and Chief Communications Officer, making her the highest ranking African American at Reebok. Shortly after the Adidas Group acquired Reebok in 2006, Denise was named Head of Global Communications for Reebok and Corporate Communications US for the Adidas Group. 2 years later, Denise was recruited by video game icon Nintendo to the role of Vice President of Corporate Affairs and was based out of its Redwood City, California offices. In 2009, Denise returned to Boston to reunite with her then husband and 2 children who remained in Boston, and was soon recruited by video game and entertainment startup 38 Studios to serve as its Chief Marketing Officer. 2 years later, Denise was recruited by medical device giant Boston Scientific, where she served as its Senior Vice President of Corporate Affairs and Communications. Among her accomplishments, Denise led the global rebranding of Boston Scientific and wrote its current tagline, Advancing Science for Life. In 2015, Denise's career was impacted when her Boston Scientific role was eliminated during a company reorganization. But 3 weeks after leaving the company, Denise founded MDK Brand Management and began fulfilling her ultimate dream, helping others fulfill theirs. Denise now works with clients to define their brand, craft their story, and achieve their professional or business goals. During her stellar career, Denise has worked directly with numerous A-listers, including Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Scarlett Johansson, P. Diddy, Allen Iverson, Venus Williams, and Pharrell Williams. Finally, Denise, who is also an adjunct professor, is the author of $40 and a Brand, How to Overcome Challenges, Defy the Odds, and Live Your Awesomeness. The book includes brand building steps, tips, and firsthand stories featuring numerous celebrities, including former President Bill Clinton, Beyonce, Oprah, and Will Smith. So for everyone here who is with us on this webinar, you're about to attend a masterclass in career advancement with a true glass breaker, someone who has advanced her career multiple times, including during challenging times, and more importantly, is dedicated to helping others do the same. So without further ado, Ms. Denise Kaigler.
Thank you, Grant. And hey, guys, thanks so much for being here. It's always so surreal to listen to Grant do that introduction and go through my bio. And I will say that the most rewarding part of my career is what I'm doing right now, which is working with other folks, working with young professionals, working with careerists, working with people who are committed to developing and advancing their career. And whatever I can do to help people do that, I am so all in. And the fact that you guys are here attending this webinar, whether you attended the other two, this is your first one, whatever, but being here right now and being part of this, what I believe is going to be a fantastically energizing discussion with young professionals, shows your commitment to developing and advancing your career. So I am all in this for you and with you. And so speaking of, I am so excited to get busy, get started with the webinar with our panel. But as Grant said, first, I want to make sure that you guys know this is supposed to be a very interactive discussion, a conversation, not just me talking at you, not just the young professionals talking at you, but for you to also submit your questions, raise your hand. Let's really make this as interactive as we can make it, because I want you guys to get as much out of this as you can. Okay, so with that, I'm going to ask our panelists to turn on their videos and unmute themselves. And I'm going to stop sharing because I want you guys to see all of us. So here is our fabulous panel of young professionals. I'm going to just briefly introduce them, and I mean briefly, but then I'm going to turn the stage, if you will, the virtual stage over to them and ask them to go into a little bit more detail about their backgrounds for about 1 minute. So just let me go around and just give the first name and a little bit of information on each one. So we've got Daniela Gillet, and Daniela is a data analyst at Centene Corporation. I hope I'm saying that correctly. She's a PhD student at Loma Linda University studying healthcare education. About 6 years of experience in the commercial payer side with the focus in data analytics. Then we have Ishmeet Kumar. There is Ishmeet Kumar. She is an administrative fellow at American College of Healthcare Executive Corporate Headquarters in Chicago. She's an advocacy co-chair for NACI. Some of you probably are familiar with that, the National Association of Health Services Executive, and she is coming to you from Florida. About 7 years of healthcare experience, being a chief scribe and implementation manager. Then we have, you guys know her for sure, Ariana Lowe. She is an incoming PhD student studying healthcare administration in the global sector. She is also CEO and co-founder at a startup called Emerald Healthcare, serving healthcare to the people of the Caribbean, and a health development associate for the government of Montserrat at British Overseas Territory. Probably totally messed that up. And then we have Jason Forbes, who's a PhD student at Florida International University studying public health. He is an impact manager at City Year and also a member of NACI, National Association of Healthcare Services Executives in Florida. So most of these guys are in Florida. Ishmeet is in Chicago. I'm coming from you from Boston, coming to you from Boston. As you guys can see, I have my fireplace. It's nice and it's cold outside, but it's nice and warm and cozy inside. So with that, let's get started. I'm going to ask the panelists to do more about a minute-long introduction of themselves. So Ariana, I think you're going first, right?
Yep, I can start first. Hi, my name is Ariana Silcott Lowe. I am a health development officer for the government of Montserrat. So I develop the entire health system, and I serve my patients from birth to when they pass away. I'm also the co-founder of Emerald Healthcare. That is a startup that's being done in the Caribbean to serve more of the Caribbean islands when it comes to telehealth infrastructure. I am also an incoming PhD student for the Doctorate in Health Administration, where I will be studying more in the global health sector of how administration affects the healthcare system. And I'm also a NACI member as well. So everyone who's familiar with the National Associate Health Service Executives Organization, I'm also a part of it. So it's great to meet everyone, and thank you for coming.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Daniela Gillette, and as Denise has mentioned, I work as a HEDIS data analyst too for Centene Corporation. My responsibility is to provide advanced analytical support to our internal quality team. And so I do a wonderful job in meeting with internal stakeholders to determine what their end product needs to look like. Aside from health elements, I also work with Grant as a business intelligence consultant, where I help companies tell beautiful stories about their data. I'm also involved with NACI. I am chair of the chapter development committee. And I also have my co-chair on the panelist end, and that is Jason Forbes. So very excited to meet all of you and excited to learn more from Denise. Thank you.
My name is Ishmeet. I am a young professional, just like all the other panelists, but not so much of many years of experience. I recently graduated with my MHA from Florida Atlantic University last year and started my fellowship experience in healthcare administration, as Denise mentioned, with the American College of Healthcare Executives. It's been a great experience, a lot of learning, rotating through the different divisions of the ACHE, as well as helping current healthcare executives in the field, providing education and resources to them as we respond to the ever-evolving healthcare changes due to COVID. So it's been a busy year because of all the transformations that are occurring. Prior to that, I was with Scribe America as started as a chief scribe and left the company as an implementations manager who developed programs within the US and internationally in Canada and Australia, implementing scribe programs within the different rural and hospital practices around the country.
Wow.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. My name is Jason Forbes, and as Denise mentioned earlier, I am a student at Florida International University obtaining my PhD in public health. I actually go and study in my interest of management and leadership in healthcare. So right now, my research is actually in patient safety culture in hospitals throughout the United States. I'm a recent recipient of what is called the CV Star Scholarship, which covers for all the schools, so it's great. And it actually stops me from working, so I'm actually no longer an impact manager. As Denise mentioned earlier, I'm actually considered a graduate assistantship. Like, I actually have a graduate assistantship at the moment, so I actually work with Florida National University. Alongside that, I'm actually doing a project with the Veterans Affairs System, where I'm helping with looking into family caregivers and looking to build a measurement system for patient safety for them. And then previously, before everything, I actually worked for the city of Miramar for over 5 years, almost 6 years in Parks and Recreation, developing programs for youth, where I created a whole bunch of basketball programs, coached basketball for little kids. And then I did my year at City Year, where I actually managed a whole bunch of young individuals that essentially tutored and mentored kids in low-resourced high schools and middle schools in Miami-Dade County. And as Daniela mentioned, I am also on the chapter development committee. I am the co-chair there alongside her, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Do you guys ever sleep? That would be my first question to you. Do you sleep?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah. I mean, you guys, thank you for those introductions. You guys are so inspiring. There's so much energy. And as I mentioned earlier, my whole goal or point in my existence, in my career right now, is to help professionals, to help careerists, to help entrepreneurs take their careers, whether it's a business or whether it's inside a company, for-profit or nonprofit, to take that next step to advancing and developing, or developing and then advancing their careers. No matter where you are in your career, there's always an opportunity to learn more. I'm doing it. I am still learning, even at this stage in my career. And you guys heard my background. I still have a professional coach, a business coach, and have had a coach throughout most of my career, both a mentor and a coach throughout most of my career. It never gets old. There's always something else to learn. There's always a ceiling to break through. So with that, we're going to open up the floor to the young professionals, because the point of this webinar is for them to ask me questions, for all of you guys on the webinar to ask questions, not only of me, but also of the young professionals. So we're going to do that for about 15 minutes. And then I'm going to introduce you to a career coaching program that I recently launched, because this is what I love doing, and this is what I'm committed to doing, which is helping young professionals take that next step. So with that, oh, and I do want to just give you guys a couple of stats just to show the urgency of the situation we have right now, and why I think it's imperative for professionals to work with a career coach, or get coaching, or take advantage of free opportunities like you guys are doing right now. Between February and April of 2020, and I have this in the invitation that you may or may not have seen to sign up for this webinar, but nearly 1.5 million healthcare jobs, 1.5 million healthcare jobs were lost in that 2 to 3 month period of time. So and this was a few months ago, so I have no idea how that number has changed now. And that's only specific to the healthcare sector. So you can imagine how the situation is right now for jobs, and how that's impacting people's ability to grow and develop their careers. And it showcases a need to take that extra step to strengthen your competitive advantage, to find ways that you can have something more to offer a potential employer. Okay, so with that, I'm going to be quiet and let you guys ask me questions. What can I do? Even though you guys are obviously doing some great stuff, but my guess is one of the reasons you're here and you agreed to be on this panel is because you also still want to grow your career and do more. So have at it. And also, of course, Grant is going to be monitoring the Q&A for those of you who want to submit questions.
That's good. Denise, I'm actually going to be the first one to ask you the first question. So my first question to you is, what did you do for your evaluation to evaluate yourself when you did your postgraduate degree? So as soon as you graduated, how did you evaluate your brand? How you evaluated yourself as a young professional to then, guide yourself through that path?
Wow. I was an entirely different person from college than I am right now, even, years into my career. And thank you for the question, Ariana. So I went through a very difficult time going to college. I put myself through college financially. I had to pay for everything. I grew up in a very poor household, a single mother with 2 sisters who grew up in Southeast Washington, D.C. And so going to college was a dream. When I was growing up, I saw things on television and I wanted to be like some of the, rich people on some of these television shows. And I knew that I had to go to college to do it, but I had no money. My mother didn't have any money. And so I just decided that I was going to do it and nothing was going to stop me. So you find that, that drive deep down. And so when I finished college, and realized that I needed to come out of my shell, because I was also very shy introvert. And so shy that when a teacher would call on me in class to answer a question, tears would literally start streaming down my face at the fear of speaking in front of anyone other than my mother and my 2 sisters. So I obviously knew I was not going to build a career being afraid to speak to anyone without crying. And so I did have to take a look at myself, but it wasn't something that happened with one step. It happened over a series of years, basically. But I did surround myself with a support system very early on. And that support system was also very helpful in helping me realize that I needed to change my brand. I needed to change or strengthen my self-confidence, because I had no self-confidence. And there were a series of steps that I did take to get to the point where I could actually begin and build a very nice career in corporate, and now, of course, having my own company. Good question.
Awesome. This is Daniela. So what do early to mid-careerists need to know about leading effectively?
Leading effectively. So one, to understand your own strengths with leadership and your own desire to want to lead, because not everybody wants to be a leader, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some people like being followers, and that's okay. It's okay. We're all different. That's what makes the world very interesting. If you decide that you do want to be a leader and you do want to develop those leadership capabilities, those leadership strengths, then you can start by leading smaller groups, maybe in your community, your church, join different civic organizations, professional organizations, girlfriends, fundraisers. There's a ton of them now with the internet. Like when I was going to school, there was no internet. There wasn't, that immediate gratification when you go on and you Google, what's happening, what events are happening, what leadership opportunities are there, where are career coaching opportunities. There was nothing. It was go down to the library, sit at the computer and start, researching and print it off and look at it that way. This generation, you guys have so much access to information. Take advantage of it and follow people who you respect, leaders who you admire, who have that leadership brand that you want to develop. Follow them and see what it is that they're doing. What are they reading? What online resources are they part of? What groups do they follow? And see what makes them tick. And there's so many great leaders out there. Find a mentor, find a coach, which of course I am one. Find someone who can help you develop those leadership skills, and then start practicing. If you are working for a company, go to your boss, say, hey, I want to lead this meeting. I want to try something. I want to do this. There's so many opportunities in the community. Volunteer. Volunteering is a great opportunity to strengthen your leadership skills. There's not as much pressure as if you were inside your company to do it. I did a lot of that when I was building my career. I did a lot of volunteer work, meaning working for fundraising events. I would co-chair events, be on fundraising committees. I still do that now, but I did it a lot when I was younger, and that helps you develop those leadership skills.
Great.
I hope I answered your question, Daniela.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I will ask based on being a female and a minority myself. So I wanted to ask, what did you do to leverage that ethnic identity or the female gender to exceed expectations in your roles, whether it was early roles, mid-management, higher careers? What did you do to leverage that?
Yeah, thank you, Shmeet, for that. Most of my career, if not my entire career, I was one of the few, if not the only person of color in the room on the leadership team. And there is a huge responsibility to doing that and being that person. It wasn't always fun. Let's face it, and some of you guys on the webinar can relate to that. It was many times very difficult. There are times I had to sort of check myself if I would be in a meeting, and I'll give you a couple of examples that come to mind. But when I was in meetings in the boardroom, and this is when I was already at senior levels in my career, still being questioned about whatever I was saying, decisions I was making, not all the time, because I loved my career. I don't have any complaints about it, but there were pockets of challenges that were directly related to my being a Black female. I'll give you one example. This is written in my book, but I'll never forget this as long as I live. I was the senior director of a consumer brand. And I won't go into details, but in my book, I do talk more detail about it, although I don't identify the executive. But I was at our showroom in New York, our apparel and footwear showroom in New York, getting ready for a big press event. I was the head of PR, public relations, global public relations at the time. I think that was my title. And I was standing and talking to this senior executive for the company, and in walked a group of white businessmen. I assumed they had suits on. I didn't know who they were. They had suits on, and they walked up to the executive as I was standing there talking to the executive. So they walked up and they started talking to the executive, and I'm standing there in a suit, looking, because I'm working and I'm having this big event. Well, the business people look at the executive, look at me, look at each other, look back at the executive, look at me, as if to say, who is, when you're in a group and you want the person to say something, like acknowledge this person standing here. The executive looks at the business people and says, oh, this is Denise Kaigler. She carries my bags. She carries my bags. And so I had, and so those of you, I don't know why most people on this webinar, but I'm not a good poker player because the look on my face, I just was shocked. I was insulted. I was pissed. But this is a top executive at the company who I worked for. And so I waited for him to say he was kidding. Like, I waited for a moment. So I'm like, okay, he is not gonna just let this stand. And he did. Those business guys looked so uncomfortable. Look, they didn't know what to say. They were in shock. And I waited for maybe 10 or 15 seconds. And I said to the business, I said, I'm Denise Kaigler. I'm the head of global public relations. I do not carry his bags. And I just turned and walked away. Over the years, and I think I addressed this in my book, over the years, I have, beat myself up or second guessed my decision to walk away versus, and this is getting emotional because I still get angry when I think about it, because I not worry. Okay, let me just finish this. And I want to say, I hope I don't forget what I'm just about to say. But I sometimes second guess my decision to walk away and not call him out on what he said. Not in front of the guys, but separately. I never addressed him about it, but I also didn't talk to him much after that. Like, I was done, but I couldn't ignore him because he was one of the top executives of the company. But one of the reasons I do what I do, one of the reasons I chose to start my company, MDK Brand Management, to help careers, to help professionals break through the glass ceiling, develop their careers, advance their careers, is because I have been through a lot. And if I can take some of the pain and the hurt that I went through to build my career to the C-suite and now to ownership, if I can help you, anybody who's listening and other people around, if I can help you avoid some of that pain, if I can help you, and if you go through some of those issues, if I can at least be a sounding board to help you talk about it, because I didn't have that. There was no one I could talk to, no one. Like, I didn't go to a round table or a session with other professionals or anyone. And I had to carry that inside of me and try to figure out, what do I do about this? Because I was the only one of the few people of color at the company, so I couldn't go to really anyone at my level who could understand what I was going through. There wasn't anyone. And so that's why I do what I do, because I want to be that shoulder, that voice of reason, that, you go girl, or you go guy, or you got this, or I'm here for you. And that's what I do right now, because I want to take everything I've been through, everything I have learned, and share that with other people. I know that was a long answer to your question. I hope I got it.
This was a perfect example because, as young professionals and as people of color, or even just as simple as being a female in leadership or wanting to be or aspiring to be there are challenges that we face on a daily basis. And I just wanted to know, like, what did you do to leverage that? And you have answered perfectly on a really a higher level scenario, more than what we face on a daily basis.
No, thank you. And this is what I'm doing. I mean, I'm doing this now because of some of the experiences I went through, because I know what people of color and women go through. And that's why I started my company. And that's why I'm offering my career coaching program. So yeah.
Thank you.
It's the love I have that will never go away. Thank you for that. What you got, Jason?
I want to say first, you handled that situation perfectly. I don't know if I'd have been able to handle it the same, because my face would have definitely showed it there. But my question, I think it pertains to basically all of us in terms of panelists here. A lot of times in a doctoral program, you're told a lot of times, excuse the dog in the background. that you're getting set up to be a faculty member at a school. So what executive opportunities do you think there's out there for someone pursuing a PhD, or in Daniela's case, a Dr. PhD?
Whatever you want. I mean, I don't know about most because I don't have the stat at the top of my head, but there's a stat out there that talks about what people who go to school and study certain things, how they're not doing what they went to school to do. And it's okay. It's okay to do that. So whether you're going and getting your PhD or another degree and you have something in mind for that, or you want to try to do something else. I mean, the world is, I know it's kind of cliche to say it, but is there for you to take advantage of any opportunity you want to take advantage of. And as I mentioned earlier about the research, find out what it is that drives you, find out what it is that you're passionate about, and then do some research on that. Seek out people, professionals, both within the field you want to get into, but also people who might not be directly in that field, but who have experience, professional experience, business experience, who can also provide some good advice for you. So a simple answer to your question is to decide what it is you want to do, whether it's part of your schooling or not. But if it's something that you discover while you're in school that all of a sudden you really want to go and do instead, go for it. And then take advantage of these resources that you have available to you, both virtual resources and real life resources. And don't take no for an answer. I didn't take no for an answer. I mean, that's why I was able to do the some of the work I've done. I mean, Grant just touched on a small part of my background. My book goes into much more detail, but I wouldn't, if you told me years ago, I won't say, because I won't say the number of years, but if you had told me, let's say 30 years ago, that I would have had the resume, the background I have today after growing up poor in Southeast DC with a single mother and two sisters, putting myself through college, getting beaten up. I was bullied in school. I was beaten up every day, robbed of my 50 cents snack truck money that my mother gave my sisters and me for snacks. If you told me that I would be flying on a private jet with Jay-Z to Europe, which yes, I did, that I would be I would be hosting a press conference with Scarlett Johansson. Yes, I did. That I would be hosting an event and introducing 50 Cent at a big event in New York. Yes, I did. If you told me that I would be doing all that, way back when, I would have said, there's no way. But I put my mind to it and I knew that I wanted more. I didn't want to I didn't want to live the way I was growing up. I knew I wanted more. And I went out there and I didn't let people discourage me from doing it. So just have a focus, not just, I hate that word, just have a focus, have a plan, and go for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So Grant, do we have any questions from out there?
Yes, we do. We have from an anonymous attendee. This is for Denise. What specific steps did you undertake to build your self-confidence skills?
It's a great question. So I did have to learn some strategies along the way that I taught myself, because as I mentioned, I didn't have some of the resources that you guys have, but I was terrified. And the more I was finding, the more I was growing, or the more I reached heights through my career, finding more and more success and being promoted to more visible roles. So I was a spokesperson for, I think, all the companies I worked for. I was the media spokesperson for. I was getting awards and being asked to come and speak and had just more visibility than I thought that I would ever have in my career. And frankly, that I was not comfortable with, because I still had this shy little girl inside of me. And I still do, by the way, I still do. So there are tricks. So find out what it is that you have a weakness in, because it was a weakness of mine. And so when I would speak, and I'm totally telling you some behind the scenes stuff, but if you also don't enjoy public speaking, perhaps you could do something like this whenever we get back out there and start publicly speaking, because we will have big events again one day. So I would, because I worked a lot for most of the companies I worked for were consumer products companies. So I always had stuff. So I would go into big events where I would be speaking, and not all of them, but some of them, not all of them, maybe half of the events. And I would be so nervous. And if I was getting an award or maybe a keynote, whatever it was, I would be terrified. And this is, I had this big job at these big companies, but still I would get nervous like most people. And so I had this trick that I would, before the event would start, I would work with the organizers of the event. I would give them envelopes of product, gift certificates inside the envelopes. And I would have them tape the envelopes underneath a few of the chairs. Maybe I had 20 envelopes, and I would have them tape the envelopes underneath the chairs, because I learned about myself that I was more nervous at the beginning of when I took the podium for the first minute. And then I was fine. But that first minute I was like shaking, and my mouth was all dry, and I was hyperventilating. Oh, it was just, if you could see inside my body, it'd be a disaster. So I learned that once I got over that tough 1 minute, I was fine. So I needed to figure out a way to take that 1 minute focus off of me. And so at the beginning of my presentation, before I got into my actual speech and my prepared remarks, I would say something along the lines of, I come bearing gifts. So look under your chair and see if you're a winner, one of my gifts. And it took maybe 10 or 15 seconds. But all the noise and the excitement and the hoopla standing up and turning over their chairs and all the excitement and the applause and the people loving me. So no matter what I said, they were all loving me because I was giving out prizes. That was that 1 minute that I found that just kind of relaxed me. And people were so excited and so happy because I was bringing them something fun. And that was a strategy I learned years ago. I don't do it anymore. I don't need to do it anymore. But for those of you who don't like public speaking or who get nervous, find out something that that helps you get over it. Find a strategy that works for you. Did I answer that question, Grant? I sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you elaborated. Great story. Great story. I've got a very good question from Cachette Calvert. I think she might be in Dubai, but she might be local now. But she says, how can we evaluate when and who to choose as an executive coach, as well as how much is reasonable to pay? Additionally, do you recommend asking our organization, perhaps during a negotiation when onboarding, to support this expense?
Yes, so I'm going to answer just the second part because we're going to probably take one more question, then I'm going to get into the first part of your question after we take one more, if we have one more. The second part of your question, absolutely do that. In fact, I think on one of my web pages, I do have a line that I don't have it up there anymore. I used to, but there are so many organizations that do have budget set aside for professional development. You just have to ask. It's like one of those perks that some companies may not offer, but if you go and ask for it, they'll tell you that they have it. And so by all means, go to your companies and ask them if they do have a budget for professional development and if they can pay for your coaching or your program. I did have my session 2 sessions ago, I think. I did have someone who works for a major company in the Boston area, and her company did pay my fee. They paid for her course, my course. They paid for it as part of their budget for professional service or professional development, I think it's called. But yeah, so for sure. Now, I do want to I'm going to answer the first part in just a second. I'm going to go through something for you. But Grant, do we have one more or do you want me to get?
Yeah, one more, just real quick. And anonymous says, Denise, why do we need to build a brand?
Great question. I cannot tell you how many times I get that question. Okay. Because if you don't build your own brand, somebody's going to make you into something you don't want to be, or they're going to apply a definition, a persona to you because you haven't defined it for yourself. They're going to define you in a way that perhaps isn't going to help you get to where you want to go. Once you define your brand, that will help you get a clearer sense of where it is you want to go. So one of my programs, I won't go through it today in a minute, but I did go through it last month, Mainstream the Top Tier. And it's a 5-step formula for those professionals who are mid-career, mid to upper career. It's a 5-step formula. And I do talk in that program. It's a 10-week program, and I forget which week I talk about this, but one of the weeks, one of the modules, I talk about that, defining your brand in a way that's going to help you get to where you want to go. For instance, if I had not defined my brand earlier on in my career, then I would not have been able to get to where I wanted to go. But a shy introvert, and I'm just speaking for myself and based on my experience, you will probably not find too many shy introverts who have had the career that I've had. I wouldn't have been able to do it. So I had to brand myself in a way that allowed me to be able to take advantage of those opportunities, or put me in a situation where people saw me and saw my confidence and saw that I could handle certain work. And I'll give you one quick example before we get to the program overview, the Jay-Z. Just quickly, so I worked with Jay on the launch of the Reebok shoe S. Carter by RBK. So there wasn't just me, there were a bunch of us at Reebok working with him, and I was not the main point of contact for him. There were other people who were closer working with him. But I think the day before, 2 days before, the head of a record label, who was the one who bought Jay-Z to Reebok, was supposed to fly to Paris and London with Jay to launch his shoe, big press event, all this stuff with Jay. I got a phone call from this record company executive who said that something came up and he couldn't go with Jay. And he said, Denise, I need you to go with Jay-Z to Europe. Like, what? That's not happening. I don't know him. He doesn't know me. And he said to me, Denise, I trust you. And I see how you work. And I see the confidence you have. And I've seen you work on this program. And Jay's going to really respect you. He's going to respect how committed you are, your confidence. I mean, it was wonderful. And so I did eventually go and met Jay. We flew to my photographer and I went to New York, and then we hooked up with Jay and flew. And there were only, I think, 6 of us on the plane. And so I did get to spend some time with him. And then we flew to London first, and we flew to Paris. But my only point in telling you that story is, if I had not developed my brand the way I developed it, and it was not done by default, I created that brand, I would never have had not only that Jay-Z opportunity and had the executive, the record label executive call me. He called me because he recognized the brand that I had. If I had not spent time developing that brand, that phone call would never have happened. I wouldn't have had the career I've had. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, so young professionals, thank you. I'm going to now share my screen again and just talk you through programs. Let me do this. Hang on, just bear with me. Okay, hopefully you guys, everyone can see my screen, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, so I talked to you guys about coaching programs. This is what I do for my company, but I have such an exciting opportunity that I want to share with you. So this is a program called Before the Break. So I have my Mainstream the Top Tier program, which I talked about, which is mostly for mid to upper career careerists, professionals, and business owners, people who've already launched their businesses. This is the step that comes before all that. So 4-week virtual career development program. It's a career development program. It's made up of 5 modules, audio modules. You get a career coaching session with me, more in depth than what we've done now, because obviously we can't get into a whole lot of detail here, mostly top lining the what we've done over the last 40 minutes or so. So you do get one live assessment, group assessment session with me, a Zoom session with me. The program includes a SWOT analysis. So when I talked about the Jay-Z example of the record producer calling me, and because he knew the type of person I was, trusted me to take this huge trip to Europe. a SWOT analysis is a way for you to understand what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your opportunities, and what are your threats. And once you look at that and you do this session with me, then I can help you understand, okay, this is what you need to work on. This is some strengths that I want you to lean into. These are some weaknesses that as long as if you can understand what they are, we can work to use them to your advantage. And this is what I will go through with you on this. So I do go through a 4-week session every month. So the first Monday of each month, I start a new session. And so the first session is going to be coming up soon, but there are multiple or a couple different deliverables in this particular session. So this is a QR code that is up here on the screen. That QR code, if you aim your smartphone at it, it will take you to the registration page to register for the program before the break, which I'm very excited about. And of course, the URL is there as well. So this is a 4-week program, which includes 5 modules and a group assessment. So I do walk you through and help you understand what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your opportunities are, and what your threats are. And each module does touch on each of these areas. And there are many modules and there are exercises. There's a SWOT analysis that you go through and complete during this part. And then I do have you do a brand survey, which most people have never done. I do this a lot, and most people have no idea what people are saying about them. I ask people with my clients, do you know what people are saying about you when you're not in the room? And I get, crickets, or I get no. So, well, why don't we know what people are saying about us? Because if you don't know what people are saying about you, then you're not going to be able to do anything about it. And that puts the control in someone else's hands. So it's kind of like the question about why you need a brand. If you don't develop your own brand, you're giving control to somebody else. You're letting someone else define for you who you want to be. Like that jerk in New York who said that I carried his bags. Well, if I had not said something to him or corrected him in front of the people, then they might have actually thought that that's what I do. And so a brand survey will help you understand, what are people thinking about you? What are they saying about you? How are you impacting them? When you walk into a room and you walk out, what are they saying about you? How are you impressing them when you walk in a room? What kind of impact are you leaving behind when you exit that room? So this brand survey will help you do that, because all of that is going to be so helpful to you when you are developing your career and advancing your careers, understanding what some of the obstacles are. What if somebody is saying something about you and you don't know about it, then you don't know enough to figure out strategies to get around them, or maybe even address them directly. So I spend some time doing that with you as well. And then this live assessment. So you have a 1-hour live assessment with me where you bring your SWOT analysis, you bring your brand survey, and we literally go through it. And I help you understand what are some of the opportunities and how can you take advantage of even some of the weaknesses. Because, I've learned, because I've done this for myself, I've done this for clients, and it's such an eye-opening experience when you can understand what people are saying about you. And then you have to force yourself to really dig deep inside. The tagline to this program is to move up and through, you have to look inside and out. To move up and through, you have to look inside and out. It starts within. You're not going to, based on my experience, break through unless you first understand the person inside of you. You have to understand yourself first. And that's what this program is all about. And I had to do that. I did this in my own career. So the first session begins this coming Monday, December 7th. And there are 2 dates for the live assessment with me, Zoom session from 7 to 8 on the 29th, or Wednesday, December 30th in the morning from 8 to 9. So there are 2 opportunities for you to do your live assessment with me. So I'm excited to announce this. I have never done this before, but I'm doing it because I so want to help you guys. So I am offering a holiday special, because I want to put you in a position going into 2021. It has been such a hard 2020. We all understand that. We all can relate to how difficult 2020 has been. So anything I can do to help make going into 2021 better for you, then I want to do it. So I'm offering for the first time ever 40% off, 40% off of this program. So what it is today, or was $665, it is being discounted for you to just to under $400, $399. As I said, it's never happened before. You can aim your phone at the QR code. At checkout, you punch in the code 0121. It brings the price down to just $399. And that's 4 weeks with me, which includes a 1-hour live coaching session with me. So if you got anything out of today, imagine what you could get with me for 1 hour. So there are limited slots, and it's only available for limited amount of time. So I do hope you guys take advantage of that. And I hope to work with you guys next month, or next week for the next month. Next week, yeah, December 7th, Monday, for the next week, or next month. I'm sorry, next month. Okay, I'm all excited because we're about to do the raffle. So I'm all excited about the raffle because, as I've been referencing and Grant mentioned, I do have a book out at Barnes & Noble and Amazon called $40 and a Brand: How to Overcome Challenges, Defy the Odds, and Live Your Awesomeness. I'm actually doing a pop-up event here in the Boston area on Saturday, where I'm going to be selling my book, and it's gotten accepted into the holiday gift guide. It's called Black Owned Boston. So it's highlighting the Black businesses in the Boston area, and so my book has been included in the Black Owned Boston Holiday Gift Guide, and I will be doing a pop-up if you're in the Boston area at Dedham Legacy Place from 11 to 6 on Saturday. So I'm going to be selling this book and talking about both Mainstream, the Top Tier, and Before the Break. Okay, so I'm going to give away to 5 people who are on this call right now a signed copy of my book, signed by me, and we'll mail it out to you. So Grant's going to get that information from you, from the winners in just a second. So I'm actually going to sign it and get your name signed and mail it out to you. I'm also going to raffle off one free 30-minute coaching session with me. It has to be done though by the end of the year. So one of you will get a free 30-minute coaching sessions with me. Nothing's off the table. You come to this 30 minutes with something maybe real time. Maybe you're having an issue at work or at school or whatever. Maybe you're trying to figure out what it is you want to do, and you want to pick my brain and ask me anything, and I can help you do that. So one person's going to do that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to shut up, and Grant is going to go ahead and select the winners. Drum roll. Okay, I'm not going to do the drum roll yet.
No, we're going to do it just a little differently. But before we get there was one question I want to ask this, and this is for the panelists, and we'll get them involved because they're going to be involved in how we're going to pick the winners. So let's get them back involved. This will be good. So from Michael Woodson, and any of the panelists can answer this. Whoever starts first, you can answer the question. The question is, how are you dealing with the challenge of finding a quality mentor?
I could start. Since I can relate to that, yes, it's been challenging to find a quality mentor, especially in the field of healthcare, where all the mentors that we want to get are so busy in responding to their, to the challenges that are going on currently in COVID environment and even pre-COVID. So what I would recommend is to first reach out to them. If you know somebody that you want to have them mentor you, reach out to them, ask them how they're doing, and then be patient with their response, and maybe send another reminder a few months later, or 1 month later, or 1 week, depending on what the scenario is. And if they're really willing to mentor you, they will reach out to you, even if it's just a response to say, we'll connect as soon as possible, or when the time is the right time, to connect. But that's how I have been able to. And also when you're trying to find a mentor, I think you have to be authentic to ask them what you're trying to ask them. If you're authentic with that, they will reach out to you and respond and try to help you out as well. I hope it helps.
Anybody else want to add?
I can certainly add to Ishmeet's response. So one of the things that I've learned throughout my professional career is when you are looking for a mentor, identify the way that you can actually serve them. So historically speaking, when I've actually reached out to someone, I'm like, hi, I'm actually an undergrad at UM. This is actually what I want to do. How can I help you? What can I help you with? And I feel that when you actually present how you can serve them first, they're more willing to kind of accept you and take you under their wing. Something else that I will also recommend for everyone on this line is to read Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. It is a great book on how to build social capital. It's not what you know, it's who you know and who knows you. So really focus on that. But first response is see how you can actually serve them.
Great answer.
Excellent.
Agreed.
Excellent.
And I can definitely add on that. Good one, Daniela. That was very good. It is very important to, when you reach out to mentors, to see how you can serve them. But also too, as well, I would say not mentor, but mentors. And I add the pearl to that because as a young professional, you learn so much. And especially in a big realm like healthcare, you can learn so many avenues and so many different ways, from like payer to health operations to anything. And when you are open enough and you're big enough of a sponge to learn and expand, sometimes mentors come naturally to you, because some of them would be like, hey, I'm looking to give back. And I see that you have this specialty, I would say in insurances or in payers. And I don't know, the CEO of Aetna. I would say, hey, I want to give back to you. I want to teach you the trade. I want to teach you this, I want to bring you on board as an intern or as my mentee to teach you more. So sometimes it is, yes, there is a technique to reach out, but sometimes just, being a sponge naturally brings them to you. Yeah. So that's the other addition to that.
I mean, I guess I'll throw something in. Grant, I'm sorry, I'm about to put you on the spot a little bit in this story. But going kind of based off of what Ariana said, it's a matter of positioning to me. Sometimes it's lucky and sometimes it's a matter of reaching out, and it's a matter of being in the right place at the right time. So Grant, I'm about to use the situation with Grant. I got involved in NACI through Grant. It was I don't want to say it was luck, it could be fate. It was like 2 years ago, I went to a conference for Microsoft at Nova, and there was no empty seats left, and there was one empty seat, and it was right next to Grant. So I asked him if I could sit there, and then he said, of course. And then we just started talking about everything, and I was telling him about being in the PhD program. And then he just started introducing me to NACI. And then from there, we like talked for a little bit more, and then I got involved in NACI. And now I'm like, if you'd have seen me compared to last year, it's like, it's two different people almost. And I get that all the time because it's a matter of sometimes on timing, sometimes, and it's a matter of like positioning yourself to be in that area of finding a good mentor. Because usually they're going to be there and they'll find you. Like Ariana said, they're going to find you most of the time. Just like an opportunity or a position, if you're doing what you need to do, it's going to find you.
Well said.
Well said, Jason. That is wonderful. Like, you never know who you're going to help. You just be yourself and things kind of fall in place. So speaking of falling in place, and just so you know, we do have two other questions out there. We'll see if people want to stay on, but first we're going to do the raffle. All right. So this is how we're going to do this raffle. There are almost 40 names that I have here, and I did not have time to write down all of them and put them in little pieces of paper and kind of roll them around in a little bag. So what we're going to do real quick, we're going to ask our panelists and Denise to help out. I need, and I'm going to start with Jason since he went last. I need you to pick a number between 1 and 39, and whatever that number is will be the winner of the first book.
Who's first, Jason?
All right.
Yep.
Let's go with 21.
21. That is Joey Kaigler.
Oh, okay, he can't get a book. He can't get a book. Look at that.
That was a lucky number.
That is hilarious. That's
My first time. So, all right, all right, Joey, look like you're gonna not win out on this one. So we're gonna have Jason pick another number.
That's perfectly fine. Let's go with 17.
17 is George. I cannot pronounce the last name. I believe it's Antonio. So George, Antonio, you have won a free book. I'll reach out to you and we will get your address and we'll get that book out to you. It'll be signed by Denise. Let me just circle that name on 17. Good one. All right. So Ishmeet, you are next.
Number 7.
Number 7. Guys, the guys are winning all this. Look at this. This is Anthony. Anthony Adambo. I know I'm messing it up, but it looks so cool. I had to try to say it. So again, Anthony, we'll get to you and get your book out to you signed by Denise. So let's go down here to Daniela. Pick a number.
Number 1.
Number 1. Man, I love it because I cannot pronounce this name. So it's Adibukola Dada. Adibukola Dada. Man, that sounds great. I love that. Love that. So you're going to get a free book and get that signed and get it out to you. And we will be reaching out here shortly. We have we have two more of the books. So Ariana, you're next.
Lucky number 38.
38 is Amy Phillips. Lucky Amy Phillips. So now we've got 2 women and 2 guys. And now we need one more to round this off. So Denise Kaigler, you can pick a number.
I will pick number 29.
29 is Lynette Boyd. Look at that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, Lynette, you're going to get a free book and we'll get your address and get that out to you. So thank you. I know Lynette has already signed up for one of the courses for Denise Kaigler. So this is her lucky day. This is beautiful. All right. So now we have one more, and this person will receive the free, half hour, 1 hour consultation directly with Denise. And I'm going to bring it back to Jason. Since he was so lucky before, we're going to bring it back to Jason, have him pick that lucky person between 1 and 39. Let's go.
Let's go with number 10.
Drum roll.
Dan Wu. Dan Wu. Look at that. Dan Wu. We're going to get your information, get you set up with Denise. The only caveat, you have to get it scheduled in December. So I'm sure you'll find an hour time and you guys can coordinate that experience. I believe we've got your email address. So we'll be reaching out and get that coordinated.
30 minutes. It's a 30-minute free session, 30 minutes.
There you go, 30 minutes. Thank you for the clarification.
There's a comment in there, Grant, from Lynette that she's bought the book already from Amazon so she can gift it to another person, like raffle it to another person.
Is that right? I didn't know that. All right. Well, since you brought that up, Ishmeet, the drum roll, please, and give us another number.
Wait a minute. What she's saying is she will give it to someone else, or she wants us to.
She wants us to give it to another person.
Oh, she's so sweet.
Yep.
That's sweet.
Yep.
We'll go with the end. Let's do 31.
31 is Nikhil Jan. Nikhil Jan. You are the lucky winner of the last book gifted to you by Lynette Boyd. Round of applause, please. All right. Well, I know we're a little bit past, but I think there's 2 questions. So it's up to Denise if she'd like to answer these questions.
Yeah, we'll see. Whoever wants to can stay on. So, but go ahead and shoot. Yes.
All right. So this comes from Jerome Hutchinson. And he states, while your environment growing up may have not seemed conducive to your success, is there anything your upbringing provided you internally that helped you succeed?
Yes, and it's a great question. It gave me a tough skin because I did go through a lot growing up with the bullying and all the stuff that being a shy introvert poor kid, you develop a tough skin, and that helped me deal with a lot of the interactions and experiences that I went through, and not all bad, as I said. It also helped me to think quickly on my feet, because there were so many, when I was growing up, there were so many interactions that I had to figure out how to deal with very quickly, or it may not have ended so well. And so I learned how to think quickly on my feet. And so those are probably the two: thick skin, thinking quickly on my feet, are the two that come to mind right now. I know those are the two that come to mind, but that was really good. I've actually never been asked that question before. So that made me think about that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that I'll leave it there. Thank you, Jerome, for that question.
All right. And then there's one more, and this is from Amy Phillips. And she asked, Denise, what is one thing you wish someone would have told you before attempting to develop your path toward leadership?
Wow, another question I don't think I've ever been asked. One thing that I wish that I had been told before, probably that there were resources out there for me to lean into and to find, because I didn't know that growing up. And so, and also I don't think I had the confidence to even go out there and look. And so had I known that, yes, and I didn't think, because I didn't have confidence, I didn't think anybody would really help me, because I just didn't think anything of myself when I was growing up. I mean, I was just a speck of dust. I mean, literally, that's what my mentality was. I was awkward looking. I was shy. I everything. I just didn't have any self-worth. And I wish I had known then that I did, that I was worthy, that I was, special, beautiful, smart, that I was all those things I didn't think I was. And we have to continue to send those messages to each other and let people know that you are worthy, you are beautiful, you are smart, you are of value. And too many of us, especially Black and brown men and women, don't have that that level of support, or those words coming out. We are bombarded with so much negativity that it would be great to have the positivity outweigh the negativity, and we don't have enough of that. And so knowing that as a kid, like, yes, you are, and yes, you can, and yes, you will, that would help me. And that's why I do what I do, because I'm like, you go, you got this, I'm there for you. And that's why I do that a lot. It's important.
Excellent, man. I think that is excellent. I want to thank you, Denise. I want to thank you not only for tonight, but for the other 3 webinars that we did, and that we're closing our series out. But I want everyone on the call to be able to take advantage of the course that she does. It's not every day you're going to have the opportunity to work with someone who's walked into C-suite operations and understand the dynamics, understand the politics, everything that you need to do, and to be intentional about growing your brand and being successful. So take a look at what is the offer. If you want to continue this conversation, I greatly encourage you to look into the 2 programs, see which one fits you. And we look forward to seeing you in December, or possibly also in January. So from 5-Star BDM, good night.
Hi, guys. Thank you. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, guys. You're great. Bye, guys.